Hello, my name's Jane and I'm going to show you some experiments using some super materials. This demonstration is all about a fluid that can change its viscosity. I'm making here a mixture of cornflour and water, and I'm making a material that's sometimes called oobleck and has some special properties. I can stir it slowly and it'll behave like a normal liquid. I can also pour it from this cup and again it will pour like a normal liquid. And it fills the base of a container, just like a liquid would. The cornflour has produced a suspension in the water, which is what we call a colloid, which means the granules aren't dissolved in the water, they still remain a solid, and the water between the granules allow them to move past each other easily, reducing the friction, allowing you to stir it easily. But if I start stirring the mixture really quickly, it seems to behave like a solid. I can even punch it with my hand, and it behaves like a solid. That's because when I punch it or stir it quickly, the granules squeeze the water out at the sides and the friction between them increases. They lock together and it seems to behave like a solid. I can pick it up in my hand and roll it into a ball and it behaves like a solid again. But as soon as I let go, it'll run through my fingers and behave like a liquid. Okay. When we measure how difficult it is to stir something, we are measuring its viscosity. Here I've got some golden syrup, which is very difficult to stir because it's very thick and it's got a very high viscosity. That's because the bonds between the molecules are much stronger. Here I've got some washing up liquid, which is a bit easier to stir, but it's still quite thick and it's got a lower viscosity. And here I've got some water. It's much easier to stir. It's got a very low viscosity because the bonds between the molecules are weaker. Most fluids keep the same viscosity, but some fluids are very special. They're called non-Newtonian fluids, and this is an example of one of those because it changes its viscosity. If I stir it slowly, it has a low viscosity and it's very easy to stir, but as soon as I start stirring it quickly, it becomes thicker and it's much higher viscosity and it's more difficult to stir. Non-Newtonian fluids can be used to make protective clothing for high-impact sports, like skateboarding or rollerblading. It's used in the elbows as padding or in the knees to protect from injury. Now, what will happen if I pass a sound through this material? So when we turn on the speaker to a very low frequency, it vibrates, and it vibrates the oobleck, and that vibration increases the viscosity, and it seems to come alive. That was the Newton's Nemesis demo, all about fluids that change their viscosity. If you want to find out more, please come to the Science Museum to the Launchpad Gallery.